Srinivas Garimella. I'm the chairman of Daifuku Interlogistics, a Japanese subsidiary. I'm also the chairman of Industrial Development Committee at FTCCI. I thank the sponsor, Singarani College, for having this session on here on a Saturday morning. And to my right is Mr. Nirupam, who's the director at NASSCOM. And to my left is Pratibhas. He is the MD of Nandini Enterprises. They are into supplier of automation and control panels to industries. To my far right is Mr. Shekhar, who's also has a manufacturing industry that manufactures components for defense and aeronautical industry. And to my far left is Mr. Birduolu, who is heading the Center of Excellence of NASSCOM for cybersecurity. So if you look at the panel, we have two one is a provider, one is a user, and two evangelists on either side. So let's start off the session quickly because we have a time-bound program. We try to complete this engaging session in 45 minutes to 1 hour so people can get on to their jobs. So here we go. Let me just lay the context before we start off the panel discussion. Manufacturing industry, automation industry in India has been clocking double-digit growth rates last 4-5 years. It has remained stagnant for almost 3 decades. Manufacturing contribution to India's GDP was low, was 15%. Service industry is 35%, agriculture 35%, but manufacturing contribution was very low. The present government focused on increasing the contribution of manufacturing to India's GDP from 15% to 28% next 10 years. So what I'm trying to say is next decade is going to be the manufacturing decade, similar to what we had in the IT decade in the early 2000s. Right? Now, with the advent of new technologies coming in, we are becoming digitally, our world is becoming flat. The distances being bridged between countries, between continents, between companies, with all of us going digital and technology becoming very, very relevant. When I say technology, I'm talking about IoT, I'm talking about VXIX, I'm talking about AI, all Industry 4, 5.0. With all these technologies coming in the field of manufacturing and service industry, it's important that all of us adopt technology, automate a business so that we leverage and grow exponentially. India needs to grow at a rate of 8 to 11% year on year to even think of catching up to China, what it was 25 years ago. On that note, let me start off. We have an interesting session. Let's hear the insights from the industry experts, one provider, one user, and two of the evangelists. My first question is to Mr. Nirupam from NASSCOM. The question to you is, NASSCOM acts as a facilitator as well as a bridge between the makers and the users. Even though digital transformation has now become necessary to have rather than good to have, the rate of adoption is still slow amongst the MSMEs. How is NASSCOM evangelizing digital transformation and tech adoption? And what do you see are the benefits that MSMEs gain from such adoption?
Thanks, Srinivas ji, and good morning, everyone. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here, to see the enthusiasm and see the business connects happening in the stalls. I was fortunate to be here during the inauguration also yesterday and saw the kind of activities and the kind of interactions which were happening. I had the facility, I had the opportunity to visit and talk to some of the stalls also. Saw some demonstrations like ma'am's robotic arm, which is there for doing the welding process and all. Pretty exciting. So before I quickly come to the point, from NASSCOM side, NASSCOM is a trade body for IT and tech. And increasingly, as Srinivas sir just said, over time, especially last 5 to 6 years, the kind of tools that have come, which are handy for sectors like manufacturing, retail, logistics, so the kind of sensors, the kind of industrial IoT and other things which have come in have make things much more easier in terms of really doing some of the stuff which was not possible to be done earlier. like going to a hazardous environment when you're talking about blast furnaces, or you're talking about robotic arms doing some of the things that are repetitive, right? Uh, and maybe tracking processes in manufacturing plants with the help of cameras. There are a lot of other applications which are there. But I straight come to the point which you raised. Still, despite all of that, as Srinivasji pointed out, the growth or the actual adoption is still low. And what can industry bodies and leaders like you, what can you all do together to actually make that number go up, right? That's the main question, I believe. Uh, there are two, three things happening. Of course, in pockets, if we talk about metro areas and some of the really companies who are forward looking, they've gone with the investments. But if you go towards the outskirts, or if you talk about smaller MSME clusters, I mentioned clusters because you mentioned about the exports figure, about contributing 45% right now, that it has to go up, and we are going for the $1 trillion economy. The bottom of the pyramid, those clusters actually need to go and adopt. And for that, many of them are small manufacturing entities and other entities who actually doesn't know much about technology. Though they need to understand how exactly that will impact their business. And what has also happened is that sometimes they have done some investments which were perhaps not fully justified at that particular point of time. There had been some burnt fingers for few entities for which there has been reluctance in terms of going ahead and investing despite the knowledge level increasing. So, trade bodies like FTCCI, NASSCOM, and others, what we all need to do, I believe, and what we are also doing, is doing a lot of sensitization and picking up companies who have actually derived those benefits to come and talk about those in forums like this, and tell about the exact ROI, what is going to happen. Furthermore, as Sir pointed out, government is coming ahead, and the industry department and the MSME department, they are coming at a lot of incentives and focus, right? So, at many times, these kind of solutions for digital transformation in entities, the guys need to be hand-holded. It is not a one-time affair. It's not a discrete affair. It is not that you go and preach about how to do that process and you leave. There has to be guys who need to be constantly in touch with those entities and guide them, help them. My colleague is also here from the ACI team. As you understand, in many cases in factories, wherever digital processes have happened, there are also at times vulnerabilities. There are problems which have happened, which needs to be solved, which needs to be highlighted. What are the best practices? What needs to be done? What needs to be taken care of, so that the processes are foolproof, so that there are no bad experiences, right? So I think this is the process. Well, number one is sensitization and taking leaders who can be brand ambassadors or examples in front of all, and they should come and talk about the success stories and their journey, like Nandini ma'am, like you, sir. I mean, their coming and talking would do a lot more effect than even consultants or evangelists talking, right? That's the idea. That's the thing which should happen more and more. Another thing which is very, very important is that we need to go and visit and talk to those entities on field in the clusters and see what exactly the pain points or the processes which are going on. If we all of us have visited some of those very smaller level like leather cluster, textile clusters, and not so privileged ones who are actually struggling very hard to make their business successful. For them, we really need to understand the business pain points and how they can reach their customers better, how a small handicraft agency can actually export their products to a Japan or a Germany without a hassle, how to do that, what sort of processes are needed for exports, what is required for design, what is required for maintaining basic accounts. These are things, these are processes which can have a lot of interventions possible from IT and tech. So those things are extremely crucial. So this is where we are gradually coming in, and wherever is possible, we are intervening along with industry, micro vertical specific entities. Like, for example, FTCCI is one of the bigger ones. We have manufacturing and other companies in its fold. Likewise, in various parts of India and even in districts, we are tying up with industry bodies who are and getting their members to come in the audience, and we are getting the content, we are getting the leaders come and talk to them more and more, and also showcase some of the works done by startups and rising SME enterprises, and incubating them at times, right? So that they become much bigger. That's a journey, sir, and it will take time, but there is no other way right now. It has to happen because this is no more an option. This is a necessity right now. I would pause here. Maybe we'll come back
Sure.
later.
Thank you, Nirupam. And to summarize what he says is, we are catalysts, no doubt. But then the role is to be played by the success stories of industries who have implemented and harness technology. It's good. Basically, you're supposed to share your stories, share your resources so that in a cluster, all of us develop, not just one or two development, but all of us as a team, as a country, as a state, as whatever, we grow together, is what Nirupam says. My next question to Himashekar Garu.
Sir,
Now, we've just heard Nirupam from NASCOM talking about how they do evangelize and all that, right? And he was talking about success stories that we shared, right? So, my question to you is tell us what was your chief technology adoptions? What are the significant tangible benefits that you could gain from this technology adoption, from business process automation? And this story, if you share, then some of the audience can actually get inspired from.
hi, good morning to everyone. I'm Shekhar from IITEX Industrial Technologies. So we are into manufacturing, supporting to defense and aerospace companies. And as you asked, the digital transformation and technology adoption, all these things. So we going with a phase manner base. So we cannot implement at a time to all the sectors in the manufacturing or quality standards. And we understand that before that, the quality standards which gives us the boost in the production rate, that we focused. That's the reason we went for aerospace certification. So that is, there will be digital transformation started from that point. Because when we understand the requirement of the product, there are certain forms we need to initially, most of the workmen, they hesitate to adopt the technology initial stage. That's the reason we implemented one section. After showing the end result to the other people, they easily adopted the technology. This one, like technology automation, like inspection process is there, and CMM instruments are there, and measuring instruments. As far as I'm manufacturing segment, this one, and with that, indirectly, it helped us to boost some more business from the customers, give our standardization of the products. This one. And one more thing, and apart from this one, what I'm trying to say, though you people are, our government bodies, everything, they want to encourage all the MSMEs. But unfortunately, it is not going to the root level of the people. Only the bigger industries or medium-sized companies. For example, you are conducting the session, some of the people are coming here. Many times I asked the FTCCI and other panels also, go and give the same seminars in their individual clusters. Because pharma cluster will be different, engineering cluster will be different, and electrical transforms, their cluster is different. So if you can prepare individual topics on the digital transformation or technical adoption based on their requirement, then it will be reaching to the end users. That's it. You just let us focus on that one also. It will be easy for this one.
Okay, what are the technologies you're currently using in your manufacturing, for your component manufacturing, for your R&D and all that? What exactly?
Yes, sir. We indigenize few products because our company started with indigenization of the products like guidance wire for the defense army, and recently torpedoes guidance wire and drones guidance wire. Apart from that, some flying objects also, we are coming into drones also. As far as the technology implementation, for example, I'll tell you one example. Any manufacturing software like Mastercam or designing software, SolidWorks, we took the licensed softwares. Most of the companies, they take some pirated softwares or something like that. Because though it is expensive, but continuous upgradation of the software helped us in searching for the new tools. That helped in that way.
Thank you, Hemashekar Garu. So we now heard NASCOM Nirupam speak about it, Mr. Hemashekar speaking about what technologies and how should they be adopted, at what pace they should be adopted. And now I'll go over to the provider. He is a user, and now we go to a provider. Pratima Garu, from your experience, I just want I want to pick your brains on, your company has been acting both as a consultant and provider, as an integrator of digital transformation. Please let us know strategically how you would go about recommending technology adoption in amongst industries. Take us through your suggested mode of technology adoption. Do we go all at once or one by one?
Yeah, good morning, all. This is Pratima here. Sir, I would like to answer your second question first. Whether we would suggest the technology upgradation at once or step by step. It depends on the customer whom we are offering the services or solutions. If the customer is fast enough to adopt the technology, we can suggest multiple upgradations or new technology to them. If the customers are slow, we have to handhold them. We have to suggest them step-by-step upgradation. Such decisions are taken by the top level people, the management people, because a lot of cost implication is involved in such decisions. So here, once we meet the top management people and convince them for the upgradation by giving a few benefits, like sir also listed few benefits, they can increase the productivity, accuracy, less generation of their scrap or waste, and more important, reduced use of manpower. Nowadays, all the industries, majorly the manufacturing industries, are facing challenges in the manpower, the skilled manpower. So we are tend to use the technology more. So the top level people can get convinced easily. But when it comes to implementation part, the real users of the technology upgradation, the unskilled members of the company, the team players of the company, they are reluctant many times, most of the times. And this is because they have the misunderstanding, like the new technology comes with more work or less dependency on them, or sometimes they feel the experience they have gained over a period of time will be of no use. But the answer to these questions is rather the opposite side. They can actually upgrade their skills, generate, they'll be more useful. They can actually use this technology to perform better, and they'll have more job options once they upgrade. So this was about the companies who are trying to adopt slowly, especially manufacturing companies. If you look at, you just mentioned about the robotic arm. It is a welding robot. So manufacturing industries, if they are ready to take a robot for their welding or for their process, lot of cost cutting can be done, accuracy can be brought into their systems. So that is what, I mean, we can suggest using these benefits, and this is what, sir, I mean.
Thank you, Pratima. So you was talking about change is very difficult to accept. It has to be a top-down approach. We need to push it because the effects of change, the positive effects of change are seen after a few years. It's not seen immediately. What you see immediately is the pain. So what you see later is the benefit. So she has a tough task on hand, trying to convince companies to adopt, digital technologies or business process automation.
Sir, sorry to say this one. One more thing is, because the investor, the company, when they invest some amount towards that technology,
Sir.
they want to return it very fast.
Yes, sir.
As you rightly said, the experience of the workman,
Yes.
that's the reason he may not come. But if he does the same thing, we may ask double productive or triple productive for the same person by giving the software. That is one more reason. Not
they are
implementing
reluctant.
the advanced technologies in the manufacturing segment immediately.
True. The problem is even the management should understand the ROI takes time. It could be a few years. So you cannot expect immediate returns. The change is obviously incremental, not exponential, right? So we need to understand that. Thank you for putting that point across. Now to Dr. Sriram Garu. Now we all know the world has got flat business-wise, trade-wise. Probably Donald Trump is making it around again from being flat. But now, with the world getting to be digitally flat, what role do you see as a center of excellence head playing in terms of protecting the users of technology? Because with the world is flat, we're all connected. So how do you protect the users from technology getting misused, especially in terms of cybersecurity? Forget the financial fraud that all of us are, every day we get 10 calls on that. But I'm talking about in terms of industries connected digitally, how do you protect us? What are the measures that we need to take?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and I'm very happy to be here, honored to be here with all of you. It's such an esteemed panel. So, essentially, digitalization is rampant, all pervasive now. It has moved into cyber physical systems also, robotics and all this. So, almost there's hardly anything you can find that is not smart. Smart AC, smart washing machine, smart mobile, smart TVs, smart everything. Okay, watches. So it's going to be all pervasive. There are going to be sensors everywhere, even within the furniture. Even if you think you're not connected, if you're walking, probably some cameras are there which are tracking. You're there online. Okay. So in that manner, if you look at it, and why is digitalization happening? If you look at the drivers, then you'll understand the reason for the risks also. So first is the experience. Okay, that's why. Experience is very important. But that is the reason why more digitalization is happening. You would not go back to waving hands on a street to stop the taxi or anything. You would like to click on a Ola or an Uber and going to grocery shopping, or you're shopping of goods or learning online. Okay, to getting entertained online. You'd not like to go and stand in a cinema hall queue and all this. You would like to have the convenience, or stand in a queue and get some form to fill out. You'll do it online. Everything has gone online. So in that case, you'll have to look at the risks, because once you're online, you're open to the whole entire internet globally. Which means earlier, if there was a shop somewhere in the corner of a street that's protected by a certain geography, it carries certain risks that somebody can break into it. But here, if you're online, somebody from Argentina can hack you. So, which means that commensurate, people do not understand that almost like a new laws of physics apply there. If things have been stolen, you will not even know that your assets have been stolen. If so, the value chain is going to move accordingly, which means that out of $10, probably some $8, $9 are there digitally. And physically is the last leg of the chain, which is easily outsourced to a low-cost country or heavily automated factory. Okay, this is how they're going to treat it. Banking, you see, most of the cash is online. Okay, in that manner. Now, what are the protection measures? Well, they apply at several levels. One is individual level. Okay, individual citizens level. They need to protect themselves. Organization level, which is the org-related measures that they need to take to protect the data, to protect employees, to protect their business, everything. And the nation-state level, which is critical infrastructure in case of geopolitical conflicts and all. We've seen a surge in cyber war. In normal war, there was a ceasefire. In cyber war, we are not seeing any ceasefire. Day in and day out, we are getting hacked. Today morning also, I got calls which I cannot talk about. Okay. So, what happens is, take for example, 2023. In that, we had a surge of attacks due to three reasons. One was the G20 summit. The second was Ram Mandir inauguration, which many strict countries didn't want. And the third was when Supreme Court had endorsed Article 370. Again, many other nations were angry. So the attacks had gone through the roof, and we had to take several emergency measures to do these kind of things and all this. So one of the things is that awareness, obviously, that you need to be aware. Otherwise, even the smallest one, social engineering attack, Jamtara type of attacks, can simply land anyone in trouble. If you were to sit in the cybercrime police stations, you'll go mad. Right from financial frauds, pension funds being knocked off, to girls' photos being morphed and uploaded on the internet, to a whole load of crimes are there. So, how do you protect yourself? First is, of course, we need to keep spreading the awareness. Second is the investments which they need to make, because it is commensurate with the risks. So first, understanding at an organization level and at any serious role you're doing, you need to be aware of the risks. The risks of going online. How big is the risk? So now, if you were to take cyber crimes, so people have a feeling that, what's the big deal about cyber, this thing? Why not put one antivirus and a firewall and be done with it? Okay, my friends. The thing is, reality is that if cyber crimes were a GDP, it would be the third largest GDP in the world today, which is the first is US with 27 or so trillion dollars. Second is China with 18 or 19 trillion dollars. Third is cyber crimes with $9 trillion. And fourth is Japan or Germany, both equal sides, $4 trillion. And then comes India with 3.8 or 3.9 trillion dollars. So cyber crimes is more than the next two GDPs put together. That is one statistic. The other statistics is that if you were to take Alliance with a Z, like Bajaj Alliance and all, that's a big insurance group. And those which are insurance groups, they track risks because insurance is all based on risk. They have categorized cyber risk to be the number one risk in the world today. Okay, surpassing all other risks like political unrest, terror attacks, climatic changes, natural catastrophes, everything else comes later. Cyber risks are the number one risk. Why is it so? Because sitting here, your bank accounts may be getting hacked, or some malware can be inserted into the critical infrastructure of a power grid or so. So what I mentioned was the second one was investments. You need to invest in the tools, the software, the threat mitigation software, everything to protect yourself. After the fact, and doing cybercrime investigation, forensics and all is not very great because hardly 1% of the cyber crimes get solved as against 40-50% of the normal type of crimes. And every crime has a cyber component in it. So that is the other one, investment. All right. And the third is that constant. Please understand that this is a constantly moving game. You need to be abreast, alert. You need to be part of the community. Threat intelligence. You have technology standards that are coming up. You have regulations that are changing, like DPDP Act. One small quote on this one. The Privacy Act has come out. Of all the civil and criminal procedure codes, the highest ever fines are reserved for breach of personal data, which is 250 crores. And if there are multiple breaches there, it jumps to 500 crores. So these collaborations are very important. Investments and collaborations. Awareness, investments, collaborations, investments in terms of startups. I would invite you to look at the 7 or 8 startups pavilion which are there, which are put up, Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, DSCI, and our stall is also there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sriram Garu. Basically, we are talking about layers of security. He was talking about at the personal level, second at the organization level, and third, obviously, at the state or government level, state or the national level. We need to do a proper risk assessment, and obviously, investment is, we have to invest in terms of security, in terms of securing ourselves, our companies, and the nation. Thank you, Andy. Right to Pratima Garu, again to you. I'm still on the left side, not right side, okay?
Yeah, yes, please.
Traditionally, manufacturing companies have been quicker to adopt processes and systems, but they've been a tad slower when it comes to technology adoption. As a digital engineering evangelist and a provider, what strategy would you recommend that your customers take to ensure transformations are begun properly and are completed in a given time frame? Like they say, a journey is as important as reaching the destination. You can't be huffing and puffing and reaching the destination. You got to really smoothly sail over to destination. Your take on that, ma'am?
Sure, sir. As rightly said, journey is as important as the destination. I would add to that, the company in the journey is much more important than the destination. We at Nandini Enterprises would like to handhold our customers during their journey to upgrade their system, or if not the complete system, part of their process system. So like in human body, we have sense organs and we use them to take decisions or act. Similarly, in manufacturing industries, if we talk about their variables like pressure, temperature or flow with which the machineries are running, and if we suggest how to control these variables, and using this control, if they can improve the productivity, accuracy and quality of their product, we can easily convince them. Not only this, I think we can actually handhold them throughout the complete process, not only suggesting the technology, giving it to them, implementing that throughout their level of employee skilled, unskilled, mid-management level, everyone, and make sure that they're using it effectively. That's what Definitely it is important, sir. If we are losing the track of time frame given to them, the technology upgradation will not be of any use. The new technology will again come in place. So time frame is really important. Yeah.
Thank you. What Pratima Garu says is that time is important because technology, once an idea whose time has come, we got to adopt the technology quickly. Otherwise, it becomes, the next new version comes in, new technology comes in. By the time you implement the old one, the new one comes in. So time becomes very, very important. And rightly put it, overall equipment efficiency or overall system efficiency of a company is very, very important. And for that to be leveraged and harness, project timelines have to be really severe, stringent, and have to be met. Thank you, ma'am, for your views. On to you, Nirupamji. And this is the topic of the day, right? AI. With AI getting to be ubiquitous in each and every business activity of ours, digital transformation may get accelerated quickly and significantly. How do you think industries should accept this change so that they benefit from it, grow rather than getting left out or die or remain a dwarf? In MSMEs, the problem is the micros remain as micros, the small remain as small. Very few actually go into next orbit. Micros don't become small, small don't become medium, medium don't become large. Right? It's only success stories are 2%, 5%. Right? They remain as dwarf. They come with a lot of potential and promise, but they don't fulfill that, right? Technology is one key facet. Embracing technology is a very, very key, important thing, right? And now with AI coming in, I'm not a doomsday prediction guy. I'm a very optimistic guy. But with AI coming in, what do you think are the challenges that we would need to circumvent?
Absolutely. Extremely relevant at this point of time, especially last 2-3 years, the advent of generative AI and the kind of ripples that has created through different facets is extremely crucial. As sir pointed out, that crossing the chasm, micros becoming medium, medium becoming large, that kind of orbit shift can only happen with long-term planning and focus and understanding how that particular aspect can help in the business. For that, I think in many times what happens is that they struggle. The entities, we heard from the talks of sir as well as ma'am, is that at times the users, they struggle with understanding the actual benefits, the timing of that, and also the kind of investment that should flow in. And also there are in times hindrances from the middle level part, the shop floor guys or the guys who are actually understanding that this is creating a problem for them rather than looking at it as an opportunity. And for manufacturing entities, etc., it's very, very crucial to have the right adoptions in the right time for the efficiency of the enterprise, so to say, right? So it is very important. So what is important is the way we are trying to tackle this is we trying to do AI for verticals and those kind of workshops and trying to understand and build champions from those domains who would be in turn become brand ambassadors. I'm talking from the NASCOM viewpoint. So one is basically talking about aspects of AI, the advantage parts of those, what is happening and how things becoming efficient. Drill down and going deeper into each of the areas like AI for pharma, AI for life sciences, AI for a typical agriculture sector, how the kind of data is helping in humidity control or the kind of stuff what is happening, how it can actually impact. That can only happen when the guys who are actually going to do that work, like the SMEs or tech enterprises, they become champions and they understand that how the company can benefit. At the same time, the businesses need to understand what AI brings into the picture. How machine learning or how understanding data for last 5-6 years is going to help in terms of better predictions or better decision making, understanding when a particular component is going to fail. These are all related to how data is being captured and properly utilized. That's where I believe more and more work is ongoing also to understand. And I'll again come back to that story of telling the right case studies, right success stories to bring into the picture. So from the point of view of industry bodies, it is extremely crucial to build those champions who in turn can become brand ambassadors, right? It is important to pick out clusters where after implementation have a regular monitoring, like every 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, what is the kind of progress, what is the kind of growth, where they are losing out. That needs to be understood a lot more. And also from the point of view of large enterprise, like we have entities where adoption is already there. I mean, we need not worry too much about the knowledge level of defense sector or bigger enterprises. There the problem is much lesser. It is in the middle part of the pyramid and lower part of the pyramid that requires more and more intervention. Sir pointed out, because the migration becomes migration is not that great because they are getting stuck. So how can the differentiator be created? So these are few points which are extremely crucial, sir. That's I believe.
Thank you. So to summarize it briefly, we are talking about being a data-driven company. Data mining becomes important for us to get into predictive analytics, for us to harness AI. That's one thing. And obviously, he wants that he's repeating the story once again, saying that we need to share success story amongst ourselves so that the adoption is larger. Okay, thank you. And over to you, Gopi Himashekar Garu. This is again the question of sharing the success. How have you brought agility in your manufacturing methods? How did you overcome this challenge of cultural transformation in your company through forced adoption or slow and steady adoption or training and other methods? How did your company manage this digital transformation change, and which technologies were easier to adopt?
Sir, yes, sir. Most of the times, let me bring one point to you. Smaller companies, the digital transformation, they may not understand, but they are using, like they'll manufacture certain product, take the photocopy by their phone, send to the customer. They will check whether the component is ready or not. Now, we need to understand what are the areas where we can implement this digital transformation in phased manner. And it shouldn't be forced, because that entire organization already adapted certain working culture and some traditional culture also in that. So that is the reason we adapted slow and steady implementation of the digital transformation and adapting the new technologies. And that too in a phased manner. Like one section, as I said earlier, we implemented one area, showed the result to the other team. They understood and then they welcomed it. Otherwise, they think, as Madam said, that the experience, whatever they achieved out of this, all these years of exercise, they may not bring to them a good salary or good incremental things. So, being an industrialist, we always focus on implementing and continual implementing the advanced technologies everywhere, but in a slow and steady. Before that, open feedback meeting and take the suggestions before implementing and after implementing also. It helped us to understand the technology adoption in a quickly manner, and it going to the root of my company low workers. This one. Thanks.
Thank you. So basically, the success for adoption is slow and steady, but implemented right, is what Shekhar Garu says. Over to you, Sriram Garu. Now, similar to what question that I've raised to Nirupamji, with the growing impact of AI in our business and personal lives, you already told us about cybersecurity measures. But now, my question to you is, how would COE be both cautioning and enhancing cybersecurity so that threats to businesses are negated and security is enabled greatly? What precautions do industries must take to avoid cybersecurity risks? Basically, if we can drill down 1, 2, 3, 4 that we need to take, that would benefit the audience and all of us here on the podium as well.
Yeah. So, since cybersecurity is a very vast topic and it varies from industry to industry, which meaning that banks will have some kind of risks. For example, let's say account muling of accounts, and then cryptocurrencies in which it is siphoned off and then it's transferred to crypto. So how they track and do that's different from, let's say, manufacturing industries in which IoT security and those risks are more. So it would vary a lot from industry to industry. First of all, healthcare industry has its own set of challenges, patient records and so many other things. So, but there are some basics. So for example, categorize, you look at zero trust architecture. That is one thing. That means you don't trust. Okay. In normal world, it is like trust but verify. Trust but verify. But in the cyber world, it is never trust, always verify. Okay. So there are identity and access management. There are dozens of fields. I'll just name a few. Zero trust architecture is one thing that they can adopt. How you segment, how to avoid privilege escalations, and privileges are managed properly. And all of this, several things are there. Okay. Using multi-factor authentication and so on. Endpoints, how do you secure, and several other areas. Now, emerging technologies. There is another thing called defense in depth. That means you recognize, that means what they say is that there are only two types of organizations. Those which have been hacked and those which are about to be hacked. Okay. To that, some sarcastic guy has added a third one. It says that those that do not know that they have been hacked. Okay. So this is the only type. The reason is that cyber attacks are rampant and you're dealing with systems that are all imperfect. For example, your Android, Windows 11 you take. Since the time it was released until now, at least 4 GB of patches have been released, which means that a lot of patches which fill security holes. So the same goes with any other operating system, any other software. Android, you take it, or any other software that you're taking, embedded systems and all. So what do? And there are attackers which have, there are malware with 8 layers of deception built in them, which ordinary human beings cannot detect. So, which means that you need specialized tool. Even for experts, it has become difficult. So they put defense in depth. That means it's like a Swiss cheese model. One of the layers will stop them. And you adopt different measures. That's the reason why you need to come to experts. You need to come to companies that provide those kinds of solutions. You would not do that like in any other place. You would not read online about surgery and go and try to operate your own appendix. You would never try to do that. In the same way, you need to rely on experts to be able to do your design and secure your organization. Now, the other thing is privacy. Say privacy is there, but how to implement privacy in an organization where there are many touch points and areas of leakage. So there is privacy engineering. Now, with such huge fines and all, you would say that, okay, you implement privacy engineering that your data is encrypted at the lowest level. So even if you're hacked, what has been stolen is encrypted data. So the court of law may be still more lenient on you. Now there is this whole segment of emerging technologies, which include AI, IoT, 5G, blockchain, so many others are there. In order to deal with them, each one of them come with their own peculiar problems. For example, in an older ERP system or something, probably if there was some garbage data which has gone in 6 months ago, then you can employ some people doing SQL coding, delete, remove the data and everything will work fine, that garbage data. But in the new one, AIML or something, it is assimilated off. Machine learning is easy, machine unlearning is not. It's an area of research because it's almost as if the nutrition, what you are eating has been assimilated off into every cell. You cannot separate it out again. That is the reason why 6 months ago it learned something. It's like a child learning something. He's learned something, you cannot simply issue 2 commands to him and say forget, or that, or something like that, because it's gone in. In the same way, these have their own peculiarities. So AI has a whole set of, please contact us because time is here, I cannot elaborate, whether how the biases are there, how the alignment problems are there, how various other problems are there. So that we are running courses, we have advisories, we have done a lot of research on that. Please do connect with us. So if you're using data and how your data needs to be used, first of all, how do you build AI systems? All these are there, AI governance. Please approach us and we'll be very glad to help you.
Thank you. So the caution is very clear. The risks are different for each and every industry. Deception methods are plenty. So we require expert advice. We can't take decisions on our own. We need to contact experts. Please do so. Any of you have such challenges, please contact FTCCI and we will put you on to the right person, the COE people, or you can contact them directly. You can exchange the cards after this. Now, before I summarize and ask the last question, a 1 minute question to each of the panelists, I would perhaps love to take any questions if you ask. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and then we will go on to the last summary question. Yeah. Lokesh, take the microphone. Please identify yourself and ask the question to the concerned person.
Thank you, panelists, for this wonderful session. I am currently working in a tech company and I'm looking to start my own venture catering to MSMEs in manufacturing sector. I want to provide them some tech solutions, but talking with some industry experts, they do mention like because of MSMEs limited budget, they are more concerned about how we can increase our revenue or how we can reduce the procurement cost. So what happens in a factory, how we can optimize it is not their current priority. So like, have you also seen such things, how we can navigate these challenges? And secondly, like I don't come from the background of manufacturing, so special question to ma'am, like how do we connect with these people? Like how can we reach out to them if we are not in a network? Like how can FTC say or what all you have done? So these are the two questions I have.
The last part, whom do you want to connect to? You just asked, how do we connect? Whom you want to connect to? The
So-
manufacturing industries?
Yes. So I am more looking towards the EV sector or automobile sector, but how do we connect with them? Like, because these MSMEs are not on LinkedIn, etc. networks. So how do we professionally connect with them or network with them?
See, there are platforms like this one, the exhibition arranged by FTCCI. Here you can see there are more than hundreds entrepreneurs who have their stalls. So reach out to them and see who fits in your criteria. You want to meet the manufacturing industries. And then you also want to find out, as they have the budget constrained, how can you convince them? See, we were just discussing, sir also mentioned, even the small industries, they are automating their processes, their machinery, but they just don't realize it. So you have to suggest some solution in stepwise so that it will be pocket friendly for them. And once they start using it, like sir mentioned, learning is okay, unlearning is very difficult. So once they start using the technology you provide, they'll get used to it and there is never looking back at it. Then you can suggest the next step, right?
I'll just add to what ma'am mentioned, and I cannot agree more with you. I mean, we have the opportunity to work with many upcoming startups and tech SMEs who are trying to contribute to the sector. But you are absolutely right on dot, because if you directly go and approach a sector or a cluster, people, first of all, they will entertain you. Secondly, after even, I'm giving a typical example. There are, I'm taking a very basic thing like a website, web development, or providing digital marketing. Many times what we have seen is that even for smaller entities, one initiative was done and there were some 100 websites are in place and they are using the interface to reach out to clients. Unfortunately, many times what's happening is that the websites are not getting updated. The content is not getting updated. Their channel is not working properly. So these guys are having even a bad experience. कि मैंने तो बना लिया website, I have invested. Now they are not even updating the service provider. So basically the website is not even getting renewed. This is typical example. So in such cases, what we have seen, I mean, the solution is not so easy, first of all. But believe me, if you have certain POCs in place and if you work very closely with the industry department and MSME departments, they facilitate such service providers to work with them, along with the government or other stakeholders you can work as a team. And at times there are bulk investments which happen along with you, with your, if you have a demonstrated process which will help them. So it has to go through a route rather than attacking directly. I think this much I can tell you.
In addition to that, there are government jump portal is there, e-procurement portals are there, where any company can read the sectors. So
That is secondary step.
Yes.
First step is answered in terms of how you reach out to customers. Ma'am's question. After you set up your industry, that you can go to those portals. Okay?
Sorry, which portal? Can you repeat?
no, there are certain e-procurement portals are there to approach the customers to get some.
Once you
from
set
them.
up an industry,
you
can
need to establish,
go to
and
those
you need to
portals.
have a clear mindset what sort of company you are going to establish. Then study in the market. Nowadays, it is very easily available. Only
You
your
can-
little bit of work hard.
You can come to FTCCI. We have a MSME development cell every Friday, so you can reach out and they can help you. Okay?
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Any
much.
more questions? I don't see any raised hands, so no. Okay, fine. The final summary question to each of you, starting from left, and the question is same. I'm sure I'll get different answers, considering the perspectives from each of you is different. So I want you all to reimagine the manufacturing of the future, the industry of the future, from your perspective as providers or evangelists or users. Considering a horizon of a decade or more, we're talking about 2035, how do you see the Indian industry, especially the MSMEs, panning out in terms of technology adoption? What would be the factory of the future look like?
Thanks for the question. It's a very interesting question. And of course, the future is quite hard to guess, but we should take a shot at it. So one of the things is the pace at which technology is growing. Nobody can really make a prediction. As far as we are concerned in the industry, we are very shaken that probably we have seen 0.0001% of the technology being done. And the next 200 years only, you will really see real technology coming out. Okay. So as of now, we'll see it could be in quantum computing. It could be in several areas. Okay. The energy, for example, construction, different areas it could be. So, but some broad themes are there. The broad themes would be standards. Okay, Industry 4.0. These standards will evolve and people will use. Collaborative automation. That means robotics, robots which are collaborating. So there will be high scale automation. The lower end, almost all routine jobs will be automated off. Especially the DDD jobs, what they call dull, dirty and dangerous jobs will be automated off completely. Okay. Intelligence will be embedded everywhere. That is there. Okay. The regulations will become more fine-grained and will drive everything. And especially I'm talking about international regulations, because you'll be buying goods from abroad. You'll be many of them. There'll be a lot of international business. How do you know that there is something in it which is not, okay, dangerous to this country or so trade? But they will be, adhering to more and more these ones. Then technology will be growing at a rapid pace. That means more and more new innovation. Then business models will be evolving all the time. As I mentioned that there are three things. One is experience. The second is efficiency. More, faster, cheaper, better, stronger and all. The third is possibilities, innovation. Loads of innovations will come up, which means let's say some primary healthcare center, you're not able to provide expertise there. So you will have connectivity enough to unlock the expertise from across the world or so. So people can interact online, then there will be a patient database, and then there will be insurance schemes which will tie all these together. So you'll find those kinds of collaborations and all happening. Then again, to keep it brief, last but not the least is environment, sustainability, green, all these things will take priority, because otherwise unsustainable technologies will die out and we will not be able to do that. And secure. Cybersecurity, security by design, privacy by design. These will be the norm. And we should not take this as something abnormal, because just on a small philosophical note, if you take systems, highly complex systems now, which are growing. So you take an analogy to highly complex systems which are there in nature, which have evolved over millions of years, say the human body. In human body, security is inbuilt. There are white blood cells, there is immunity system inside. You would not think of it as an afterthought. It is inbuilt. It doesn't go to sleep. Even when you sleep, probably the immunity system is active. So what happens is you should view security and privacy as inbuilt, natural and inherent in a complex system, not something that is, hey, I have built the system, I will add that later on or something of the sort. Okay, with that, I'll stop. Thank you.
You want me to continue? Yes. As per my perception, the future is all about the points we have been discussing here for past half an hour. I don't want to mention, but when I was discussing with sir, he said the technology that we are discussing now or we have started implementing now, somewhere someone has already used it. Let's talk about the Chinese factories. They are way ahead of us. So the Indian industry, especially the manufacturing industry, over a period of 10 years, a decade, now would be something similar to those industries, fully automated ones, and will be actually using the industry 5.0 at that time, I believe. There would be many new business opportunities because of this technology upgradation. Quantum computing would be one such opportunity, and even the data analysis. Whatever technology we are using, if we are saving that data and using it for taking further decisions or taking further upgradations, that would be a major future perception. That's it from my thing. I think you also can add up a few points.
I, in fact, will go back to your initial remarks, Srinivas, in terms of if you look at bridging the gap, maybe 5 years down the line, you spoke about China, you spoke about other countries, and we definitely aspire to rise up much more. That is one, and that will only happen through people process technology, making people more aware, telling them the process and the value and benefits for business, having the right processes, regulations in place, and ensuring that there are stakeholders supporting those, and of course technology. In terms of last 6 months, the amount of technology that has come in and hit us, maybe before that last 6 years it was not like that. So the kind of exponential growth that is happening, we even don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the line. I mean, the radical things are going to happen. We have to be ever prepared. That is the most important part. Those things will ensure the proper growth and agility. That's what I can tell.
Thank you.
Even now, the people are learning from the internet or this in all the manufacturing segment, lower people, smaller, micro level, macro level people also. Now we need to make that easy reach of the application. We need to give some training or some seminars to the lower micro level people. But then as common other people know. If you approach anybody in the smaller MSME people, they may not understand what you people are helping them and how way you are connected with them. So establish some chain system to reach the root level people so that the growth will be exponential.
Thank you. See now, before we conclude, just concluding remarks. Thank you for panel members for making it very insightful, coming from different perspectives. To summarize it, now generally when any technology, new product, anything that is launched in our life, we find that there's early adoption. Some people adopt it early. After a little while, it becomes a mass adoption. That's the tipping point. The moment mass adoption comes, the scale becomes exponential. So digital transformation has become a buzzword last 3-4 years, but now we are at the inflection point, the tipping point where you'll see a mass adoption across industries. Already, if you go to China and Germany, a few places, you will find dark factories. Factories where there are no tube lights, there are no lights, thousands of robots working, just 4 people managing the entire factory. There are only one bathroom for those 4 people. There are no bathrooms for robots, no lunch time, no tea breaks. 22 hours they work, 2 hours is preventive maintenance. So that's how the factories are going to look like for most of the consumer durables. As Dr. Sriram put it, healthcare industry is going to transform. Already radiology, is transformed across the world. We have radiologists sitting at home and advising the patients the world across. Similar things are going to happen. These primary healthcare centers, the secondary healthcare centers, the tertiary hospitals, all of them are going to be digitally interconnected. And the kind of transformation that we're going to see is really, going to be eye-popping. I mean, I'm not a clairvoyant, but 10 years hence, I'm sure these things are going to become a reality. Thank you once again for being a very patient audience and lovely remarks from four of you. It was great learning from all four of you. Thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you.